Hello everyone and welcome to the LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix round 11 out of 14. It's coming to the final stages. We've got qualifying remaining 7 or 8 minutes, I should say, on the clock. A few laps set already. The two Williams drivers not setting a lap whatsoever. Charlie's had a few runs already but not quite been able to get it all together. Zingy's on a lap right now. They go up the hill into turn 13 using the battery, turning it off as they get to the corner, allowing the momentum to carry into the corner to use the uphill section, just cheekily brushing the wall here in qualifying to give yourself a bit of a kind of reference point to just turn in. I don't know. It's a bit cheeky. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it can go against you. They don't hit the wall on the second left-hander. And now they go down the back straight, probably the longest straight section with a DRS zone, but it's a little bit tricky to get an overtake done, especially when this is a much more beneficial place to go for a move. Jericho Willis improves their time at 27.151 is currently the pole time, followed by Verf. Round the final corner, Zingy flicking that wheel to try and get the grip on the front end. Another tap on the wall. It's a bit tricky as they locked up. It's going to be a lap though. What's it going to be for the Scotsman? Provisional pole at 26.7. That is pretty good going. And Verf goes and puts in a 26.7 as well. 6-7 returns. And a 7.99 is a very, very close lap time. Eager Pro just crosses the line to go to P3 as they push Jericho Willis down further. And then we see Elwain start their lap. And we actually see Pursoon join us once more in LSI. They're currently on a lap. They've got a lot of battery in that car, so I'm not entirely sure if they're going for a timed lap right now or not. But this man won here 1 year and 9 days ago. 1 year and 9 days ago, this man won in 2024. That would have been in the 2023 game. Pursoon took it to victory. Can they do the same today? Can they start with a good qualifying time? Not quite relative to the order. It's not too far off, to be fair to them. Charlie goes and absolutely blows everybody away by going a tenth faster, almost, than Zingy. It's a brilliant lap there from Charlie. Definitely worth it to have those struggles in the beginning. They're still going to get another opportunity, I think. If we can actually see the timing, we'll be able to figure it out. But right now, it is their teammate, the Scotsman, who is down on fuel. They've pushed themselves to the limit to try and get that lap done. And now they're going to have to crawl into the pit lane to then go again. And there we go, 4.5 minutes. Charlie should be able to come around and do one more lap, although it will be a push. We'll see what they can do, and that track evolution will be useful. There's Elwain across the line, a 27.816. Not too far away at all. 9 tenths away is Pursoon from the top time. We'll have a look at the gap between the leader. It's actually 8.5 tenths. And then we see Elwain in P8. Alrighty. I apologise for a moment. We're just going to quickly find Elwain to follow, and then I will be back in a second. Alright. We're just getting ready for the final runs. Everybody in the pit lane. Silence stirs. Igor is the first one to brake. Not out on track. Just break the silence. We're also going to see, is that the Haas in the background leaving the pit lane as well. Pursoon looks to go early. And I say early. Igor Pro, we know, usually is one of the earlier ones. This feels a little bit later than usual, I'll say. They've gone a little bit later. They're only leading the field by just a little bit. 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. They're still going to have time to cross the line again if they mess up. That's what they're looking for. It does sacrifice some of the track evolution that you can gain in the final few moments, but it does mean that if you mess up your first sector, you can go again immediately. Obviously, you do need to have enough fuel for that. If you do mess up your middle sector, you might be able to go again. If you mess up your final and third sector, you're not going to be able to get another lap in. So there's only so much safety that this strategy can give you. I don't expect us to see double warm-up here either. And actually, looking at the timing, no, Igor wouldn't even be able to get another lap in. Scratch that completely. There it is, 1:27. So Igor will not be able to go again. This is their final run, and they will be crossing the line at the flag when this ends. Everybody is out on track though, and they will get another lap in. Well, we should see Owain go and get another lap in. Into the first corner, braking as late as they can, bleeding the car in. They're trying to wrestle it. ERS being blasted to turn 4. Be careful not to turn in too early, as it can catch many drivers out. It has done in the past. Verf and possibly Frantic. I think just Verf in the past. I think Frantic was directly behind in the moment, possibly. Oh, and really going over that exit curb, lifting the car, still going quickly. They will have scrubbed some speed off to turn 13, but luckily it's not a long run into the turn 13 corner, so they will have just about lost out a little bit of time, but they'll still be good to go. This looks quick. Scrubbing on the inside as the car rotated itself mid-corner. We'll see what they're looking like over the third sector line before we get to the flag. Here we go. And that is 2/10 improvement, finding more in that middle sector, as close as you dare to the track limits through turn 22. DRS for the final time. Charlie retires in qualifying, crashing out where Igor rode the curb and lifted the car up. Maybe they suffered the same fate, or just a corner previously. It's DRS. What's it going to be for Igor, who crosses the line? It's going to be a P2, a 26.761. Charlie, our current pole sitter, is done with qualifying. Pursoon to P4, a 7.90. Absolutely brilliant stuff. What we're going to see from Verf here in the final corner. P5 for them. They're looking quick at the beginning of the session. DRS up to the line. And it's provisional pole position from Verf, a 26.578. Absolutely magical stuff. Can anybody compete? Jericho Willis rounds the final corner as they get followed by Zingy all the way to the end. What's it going to be? The McLaren stays P6 and Zingy to P3. They can't do enough. They can't do enough to beat their teammate. The margins are fine. Frantic to P5. It's Elwain in P8 who's invalidated and hit the wall, losing their front wing. A brilliant effort there for an improvement from Frantic, but it is denial for a front row lockout for Williams by Verf. Now I want to say Verf has gone very well around this circuit in the past. They've also had some mishaps. So let's see if that is now not the case. Look at the gaps that we've got today. Verf on pole position, Charlie in P2 and Zingy in P3. What may have been if Charlie managed to get that final lap in? We'll never know, but we do have the race to tell us the rest of the story. Ready. Hold. Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? Verf is away as we get a good clear picture, but it's going to be Charlie who gets the launch off the line. Absolutely perfect on the medium tyre. Everybody else follows along and it all looks clean for now. Singling out into turn four. Actually, that was just perfect there from Charlie on the inside line, and Verf couldn't do anything about it. Just no question. There is the situation for tyres. Elwain once again going for the opposite tyre to the rest of the field. We'll see how that one plays out for them later. Hopefully, it doesn't involve a safety car. Charlie leads the way. It's Verf in P2. The two teammates are split by the Sauber, and then we see Egapro in P4. Frantic pursuit Jericho Willis and Elwain holding on to DRS zone or range for now. Will they be able to maintain that by the time it is enabled this time next lap? All very clean stuff right now, but Charlie has found that clean air and showing what they can do and what they maybe could have done if they didn't miss out on that final run in qualifying. Verf trying to push the limits to catch back up, and they actually find a good amount of time at the end of the final straight. We'll see if Charlie has just used a bit too much battery, and there will be an opportunity for a comeback here. That's Jericho Willis going for the move on Pursoon, and Pursoon just has to slot in behind. I say slot in behind. It's actually even. They're dragging all the way down into the first corner. Jericho Willis is going to break it as late as they possibly can. Pursoon's gone off the circuit, and that was a little bit tricky there, wasn't it? It did look a little bit aggressive from Jericho to force the Haas all the way to the right line, maybe a little bit more. We didn't quite get a good angle of it, but they do stay within DRS range at least, these guys. But not the same for Verf, as Zingy is now going to be hunting the back of the Sauber. They know that they have to get through if they want a chance to go again at their teammate. They missed out in Mexico. Charlie ran away with it in the early stages and managed to claw their way back into that top spot after the safety car restart, just being unrivaled in the clean air. The clean air magician, it seems. Can they hold on to it? 1.3 seconds, they continue. Zingy looking for the move. DRS available. Will they go for it early? Will they go for it into turn one? Turning off the battery as Verf. It's going to have to be a turn one. That's where they're going to have to look for it. They've got half battery themselves. There is the battery once more on for Verf. Using it though is Zingy. They want that position. They go for the position. Will we see someone follow through? We will see Egapro come along as well for the ride. It's going to be so tight. The outside and wider line surely isn't going to work for the Aston Martin. Now they have the inside, but it's all too late and they have to back off in order to stay with the Scotsman. If they went side by side through turn four, they would lose every bit of momentum, and that would be the night done. Very close to being hung wide and dry there for Egapro on that curb. It can be very, very tricky on the left-hand side through turns 8 and 9 and just swoop you away from the racing line. You'll most likely find yourself getting a time penalty and possibly even crashing if you're not careful. Now, Zingy 1.7 seconds away. They have lost a bit of time to their teammate, but they've only just been put into clean air. 8 tenths ahead of Verf, so they are definitely doing something here. And DRS will be available for the Sauber, so they'll be able to bring themselves back into contention here. Now, Zingy, they're still going to have to dig deep, very deep. They're also going to have to harvest some more battery to make sure that they're once again in a situation where they can focus on just outright pace rather than overtaking and now trying to maintain that position. They'll get this next first sector to harvest some battery to get themselves into that, I'm not saying comfortable position, but more of a regular position where they can focus on gaining time. There's Charlie's point of view. They can see Zingy a little way down the road. They've extended another tenth by the first few corners. A bit of a mistake, though. Could see the Scotsman catch back up. And they do. They do gain that time once again. And the momentum really continues for the next few corners. Look at that. What is going on? Is there damage on Charlie's car? There's no damage, but all of a sudden, Zingy just absolutely flew through that middle sector. I should say not the middle sector, it's the first sector. We're now in the middle sector. You can see the Scotsman pushing to the limit, looking for the DRS. Have they done enough to get there? They might have just. That would be absolutely perfect if they have. I don't believe it. They have. Incredible. Zingy gets DRS on lap 4. Out of all of the odds, I don't know where that's come from. Charlie has a little bit of a wobble early on in the lap, making contact with the wall, and the momentum just carried on. DRS kicks back in. Zingy, is it going to be enough for them to get that DRS into the first corner? It will be. I think there's more battery in the P1 car. There is more battery, but the DRS is also powerful, and sometimes it can just gain you that little bit extra that you need. Now, I do know that the setups will be very, very open here, very slippy. The aero will be very narrow. The top speed is going to be absolutely spectacular. It does mean that if you're in P3 in the train, it will be very difficult to make an overtake. Although we did see EagerPro attempt it earlier on, so maybe not impossible. It will be difficult. Now there's DRS for the Scotsman. It means that Verf's got to work a bit harder, because now they had that DRS before. The double DRS kicks in as it cancels out. The car in front has it, so do you. All of a sudden, your DRS is no good anymore, and you've got to try and push really to the limit to make sure you don't lose the front two. It's a tricky phenomenon to get over. So far so good. That kind of middle sector and first sector really can be helpful in scenarios when you're trying to chase down a duo up in front. And it's worked out quite nicely. Frantic just within DRS range of EagerPro on the limit, but they are there. Pursuing at the back of this field at the moment, then Elwain in P8. On that hard tyre, they're expecting to come back into this race later on. They did have DRS for a couple of laps or so to try and give themselves some sort of an advantage. I should say though, 25 laps here in Saudi Arabia. It's not the longest race number-wise. Distance, of course, it's all evened out. But it's not exactly a race where you can have a flurry of opportunities. You do run out pretty quickly if you're not careful. It's not like Austria, where you just get so many laps to have a go at some sort of overtake. Charlie continues to lead the way, and they have done since the first corner. Taking it away from the Hungarian. And we haven't seen Verf been able to take back that P1 since. Well, of course, otherwise I wouldn't have said that about Charlie just a second ago. But we haven't seen Verf been able to fight Zingy once they got to past either. Now the battle is kicking in. Are we going to see Zingy look for the move on their teammate? That is the question. They're as close as they've been for a long time. Watching the ball with Verf. The first corner is coming up. And that looks like a very racy Williams sat in P2. That looks like a lot of battery to be deployed. And I think we're going to get a battle on our hands for who's going to go into the pit lane first. This is what they're doing. They're planning for the pit stops. Zingy looks to the left, looks to the right. But Charlie planted in the middle of the circuit. And there is no way around for the Scotsman. They just couldn't figure this one out this time around. That is perfect stuff from Charlie there. Doing exactly what you need to do. Give your rival two opportunities. They have to choose left or right. Then all of a sudden, their capacity to think of what to do next is a little bit more limited. It's just mind games. It can give you that slight advantage. That's exactly what's just happened, and that's why Charlie is still in P1 right now. You invite one car to all the way to the right-hand side or all the way to the left-hand side, and they get a massive advantage, not only physically on the track, but also psychologically. When it comes to psychological games, though, there's a reason why someone is a 6-time champion fighting for the 7th. And they're pretty good at it. It was no mistake. Will they be able to figure it out this time around? Closer than ever. Can they do a last late lunge to the inside? They're going to have a quick look, but then they did decide to settle behind. I was thinking that maybe they're not sure of where Charlie was looking to go, left or right, but I think it was more of a, okay, I'm not going to go last second anyway. Here we go though, ERS once again being used by both drivers. The outside line is chosen a bit earlier on than Zingy. This time they look for a clear switchback, but they just got on the curb a little bit too much. Oh, and that limits the traction, but Charlie also makes a mistake. It's side by side between the two teammates. Absolutely amazing. Zingy is through around the outside. It doesn't work the second time around. Zingy, P1, Charlie asking questions. That is Jericho Willis getting a 6-second time penalty in a matter of corners. What on earth just happened there? I don't think that second one is legitimate for Jericho Willis, unless they did just fully cut a corner. Maybe that is why. It would explain it. Zingy actually leading this race now and finding some great momentum. Charlie struggling on the tyres. They've lost DRS range now. They do gain it back for a moment, so they will be safe. But it doesn't make it any easier right now. The body language of that car is struggling at this stage of the Grand Prix. I'm not sure if it's tyres, if it's frustration that they've just been overtaken, or maybe experiencing dirty air for the first time in this race. They didn't really experience it on the lead into the first corner. So this is a new environment now for Charlie to be in on lap 8 onto lap 9 now. DRS available. No overtakes will be available right now. They're just going to be a bit too far back. But we'll see how it goes. Expecting pit stops, thank you very much Mars, in a couple of laps time. And it will be the Scotsman who controls the rest of the race. Charlie's probably going to have to go, okay, I want to pit on this lap. Let's pit a lap earlier just to be safe. Because otherwise, Zingy is going to have the optimal choice. And if Charlie wants to pit on the optimal lap, then maybe they'll have to double stack. And that's actually just going to slow them down even more. So there's a big problem here. And now that DRS has been lost, Verf's going to be under the attack of the second Williams. And 1.2 seconds is looking ever so daunting. There's a lot of confidence in the Scotsman's car. But those tyres just look like they are dead for the pole. ERS available. Verf still not that close though. The might of the Williams, regardless of whether they're within DRS of one another, seems to be pretty impressive right now. The train is continuing all the way into this race. Lap 9 out of 25 becomes lap 10. Are we going to see a pit stop? We do. Zingy's in. Zingy is in earlier than the rest. No, we do actually see quite a few pit stops. There we are. That's Egopro, Frantic and Jericho Willis all in together now as well. Elwain will make those positions as they're on their different strategy. They get promoted for a moment. And bad news for Pursoon in P3. They've been left to just hang basically. And I don't really know how they're going to battle with this one. But they've got no DRS. No advantage. And they're going to be one lap down on the rest of the field for an undercut scenario. Oh, and that is a big save. a big save showing that tyres are absolutely killer around here. Going one extra lap might give them an advantage later on, so maybe we can't speak too soon. But just looking at the gap, looking at how this is going, that is a big clout on the wall as well. Pursuit's having a tough one, and they're gonna surely have to pit. We're surely gonna get a pit stop from these two here as Verf goes on the attack on Charlie. It's side by side through the final corner. That's not gonna be quick at all. They're gonna lose even more time. We see them dive into the pit lane regardless, but I would be very surprised if we don't see Zingy 2 seconds out in front right now. That's what I'm thinking. 1.9 at the absolute least. There's the pit stops for the second runners. There's Zingy into turn 1. And now Elwain, of course, is leading on track right now, but with the strategy, it's all a little bit different. And actually, 2.5 seconds to EagerPro, who is now the new P2 driver. Frantic P4, Jericho Willis P5, and Charlie and Verf going one lap later has dropped them so much further back. And I thought that maybe Pursuit would be back in the pack, but no, they now find themselves dead last, and by a couple of seconds as well. Absolutely incredible. A one lap advantage could be beneficial. We could see that maybe be the difference between winning and losing later on. So don't count it out right now. But that's now 2.9 seconds, gaining half a second, having DRS to help them as well. It's going to be useful here for Zingy. Will they try and overtake Elwain early? No, they're going to go for more standard overtake. They're going to lose a tenth or so in the next corner, but they'll gain it all back and they'll be able to secure that position over the Red Bull. There's going to be no fighting back. They move to the right hand side. They allow Zingy to go through. It's not their race. It is not their race on their strategy right now to fight. They can fight later on if they come back into it, but being on the complete opposite tyre is very, very tricky to deal with. Zingy plows through the air with the fastest lap to boot, 30.600. We've got EagerPro leading the train further behind, then Frantic, Jericho Willis, Charlie and Verf. Pursuit now 4 seconds away from the train. The DRS kicks in and is absolute killer for the rest of the field. Lap 12 out of 25. We've still got a way to go in this race. Heard a bit of a odd noise in the background there. I'm not entirely sure if somebody had damage, but seems managed to gain about half a second in a few moments there. And now we see Igor catch up to Elwain. The momentum is strong. The DRS will be available. I think it's probably in Igor's best interest to get that overtake done on this back straight. They're not pushing for it though. They are going to have to wait for it. Elwain very slow into the final corner. We're all of a sudden going to see a bunch up. There's going to be no DRS now for EagerPro as they've gone for the move a little bit later on. Frantic's closer than ever. Surely this is a move opportunity here for Frantic. Will they go for the inside? No, they don't have enough battery to really fight. Spotting the braking zone, Charlie comes through into turn 1, no questions asked. Jericho Willis looks for the long way around, but it invites Verf back into it. It's side by side, it's braking late. And Verf spots the opportunity to go through as Elwain takes the runoff. Unfortunately, that's what I have to say. They drove off the circuit to avoid some incident, but it never actually happened. There's Verf going off the circuit in the meantime as well, getting their 3-second time penalty in this race on that 13 out of 25. Frustrating stuff there for Elwain. They just couldn't do anything about it. That's the game that you play though. If you are on an opposite tyre when the other cars come through on their fresh tyres, you are at risk to being bombarded. And Jericho Willis wanted to go through. And Verf should not be blamed for spotting an opportunity when it arises. Pursuing goes the long way around on Elwain. Into the final corner ahead. And now they finally make that position. Zingy, 3.8 seconds in the lead of this race. Almost repeating what we saw from the Williams last time around in Mexico, but in a very different manner. Not from fighting. Really enjoying it out in P1. And I think actually winning 2 of the last 3 races here in Saudi Arabia. Nifo winning the other. And then Pursoon winning 1 of the last 4 races. And there it is again in that first sector there towards the end of it. Just a weird noise suggesting somebody is hitting the wall at some point. But we're yet to see any damage on any car. Now look at this, out of all of the battling, we do see Pursoon gain time on the rest of the field. They are catching up. This is very impressive considering the circumstance, although they will have just got themselves a track limit there. I think they've taken that. If you cut the corner enough, you can actually make your warning that you'll receive for exceeding track limits worth it. It's better to make it worth it than not worth it. That's the advice of the day. There's Frantic and Charlie. Sorry. Yeah, Frantic and Charlie switching positions. Because Frantic was not able to pass Eager Pro. And now the Williams driver is going to take it into their own hands to try and get the job done. Now they're drifting 4 seconds away from the top spot. Looking at competing for pole position, now down to P3. Verf down to P6 from getting pole position after going 1 lap later, which maybe looking at it now doesn't seem like it was the best idea. The undercutters did all gain a little bit of time as we continue to see Pursoon gain more and more. Would I say that they're currently the fastest car on track? I may do. Spotting the braking points, trying to pressure for moves. Oh, that is Verf getting very, very greedy on the throttle. It's Pursoon almost in the party once more. Charlie with DRS, a clear opening to Eager Pro, but not enough battery to be able to secure the move. They turn it off, they recharge, they sit behind, and they focus to go on the following lap. We surely will see Charlie go again. They actually have a lot of battery. Maybe that was what we saw on the start-finish straight. That's where they just gained all of that extra life. And remember what we have been saying in the last few weeks. The F1 game doesn't quite work the same way as it does in real life when it comes to tyre wear. If you're sat in dirty air, your tyres will wear less. Charlie currently will be experiencing less tyre wear than Eager Pro and Zingy. Pursoon back in the pack, ready once again. They will have a little bit more tyre wear because they've just done a few laps in clean air. But it's still better to be in the pack than not in it at all, regardless of your tyre life. So if you're going to use a little bit extra, you might as well. There it is. Charlie now sat in a prime position to make an overtake with lots of battery to spare, closer than they've ever been. DRS, ERS, Igor very quick in a straight line. It looks like it's going to be a tough one. On the brakes, they'll have to look at the move. They do go for it side by side by the apex. Igor has the inside line and they take the racing line on the exit. And Charlie has failed on lap 17 out of 25, but luckily not too much battery's been used, so they will be able to go again and launch a second attack. That's going to be crucial because Igor now will have probably used a lot of battery to stay in front there. They didn't have DRS, remember, but they were still going almost as quick as the pole there in a straight line. Igor is looking to be weak on this lap and leading onto the next on lap 18. Where will Charlie look for the move though? They're so close. Would they want to go for it a bit earlier on and hope that Igor doesn't come back through? 5.6 seconds and he leads the way here in Jeddah. Pursoon overtakes Jericho Willis as those guys raced it out earlier on and it got a little bit close. They finally switch. What a turnaround. 1 lap later on the pit window and Pursoon's just found their groove. Finding their groove now to put themselves into P2. That's what Charlie's looking for. Just spotting the braking point left and right, having a look here and there. DRS once more, turning on the battery. It's no longer flashing. It's a run to the first corner, but a bit too far away. And they're just going to have to sit behind again. Now 5 seconds, a bit more away from Zingy. Now they're going to have to try and turn their eyes to securing this P2 rather than looking for the win. That was super close from Frantic. I thought they were making an overtake attempt. I don't know if they were trying to spot their braking point and then it started to become a mix of an overtake attempt and a mistake. It was all a little bit hesitant. I'm just glad it didn't end up going too badly. Pursoon eyeing up a move here on Verth. We once again though do see Charlie catch up nice and close here to Igor. They're not going to go for it just yet. We don't see a move from Pursoon on Verth either, but here we go. Lap 19 could be the call for a double overtake. Pursoon didn't quite get the final corner that they wanted, but Charlie maybe did. No. Igor just rapid in a straight line. You can't do anything about them. What is going on with that Aston Martin? For Charlie's sake, I'm hoping that on the final lap they're going to blast through. That's what they're looking for here. If they're not, then it just looks like a nightmare to sit behind the Aston Martin. They can't do anything about it. Frantic, holding on in P4 at the moment. And this DRS train is all a little bit powerful at the moment. Elwain hasn't exactly found an opportunity to gain that much time on the rest of the field. 29 seconds away. The powerhouse of the DRS train is just all a bit too mighty. Will we see any overtake at all? Although we're looking at a 7/10 gap here, they'd be going a little bit wider now. Because we're at such high speeds, that's what's making everything look a bit farther away than it is until you get into the braking zone. And now you see how close these cars are. DRS available, ERS available. Pursoon is going for the move, whether Verth likes it or not, but no. Not being able to have enough battery by the time they get to the end of the straight, that's where they missed out. And that's where Verf was able to confidently stay in that P5 spot. The game of chess looks ever more difficult than it has been before. In the meantime, Jericho Willis fighting for DRS at this stage. 10-lap-old tyres. Not finding it easy. Looking very quick in qualifying. Now getting another time penalty. That's 9 seconds of time penalties to Jericho Willis' name, which 6 of them I think are legit. 3 maybe not. Very frustrating for Jericho today. We've had some pace, but when you're in a train, it just is impossible to show. Zingy, of course, has had a brilliant opportunity to show that pace. Oh, Charlie makes a big mistake, goes off the circuit and gets a track limit warning, but will not get a time penalty. They cannot afford to do that again, otherwise it could be race done. According to at least fighting for the highest position available to them in this moment, which is P2. Having to pull to the left just to compose themselves, as there's half the battery in that Williams. And they really are thinking about trying to beat Eager Pro at this stage in this race. Where it's just been dropped somehow. It looked like Charlie was running away with it in the early stages. Zingy had a wander lap to get them back into DRS. And then slightly later managed to get themselves ahead of their teammate with a magical move. And then that has laid out the rest of this race. Now, unless Igor can find something special here, I really think that Charlie must be holding back and looking for something in the final moments. It's going to be a difficult task. Frantic just has to watch on. They're actually 9/10 away, so they've got a bit of a threat. That's another mistake! Oh no! Charlie, on the second lap running, makes a mistake at turn 22 and finds the wall. Damage to the front wing. And they're not... You can see they are absolutely furious. Wiggling the steering wheel. The tyre wear kicks in. Eager Pro is released. 1.5 seconds to the next car as now Frantic has to fight. This is big stuff for Frantic. It's going to be very difficult for them to keep the rest of the field behind. Now Verf finds a brilliant opportunity to get ahead. That being said, the time penalty is going to obviously loom. Now Pursoon has to spot an opportunity here for a podium. That's what they're looking at. They'll get that automatic position on Verf. We'll see. It's going to be a tall order. Jericho Willis sat on the back of this train right now. Zingy leads the way. Eager Pro breaks off into P2. Verf has a clear opportunity, but Pursoon really needs to try and make something work here. It's going to be tough. It's going to be high speed into the final corner. Verf pushes for it. Pursoon doesn't go for the move. Defensive though. It's Frantic by a long shot. And that leaves them vulnerable. DRS not available to the Sauber car. Are we going to see a double overtake here for Pursoon? No, they just don't have the straight line speed, and both cars in front turn off the battery by the time they get to turn 1. Absolutely extraordinary. I don't believe what I'm seeing. They want to be in P2 in the train for the end of this one. Pursoon didn't capitalise on it. They need to at least make one move. or at least be ahead and then try and allow one car to get through on them. But no, they decided to sit behind both cars. Are they looking for a double overtake in the final lap? That's risky. High risk, high reward at the moment. But what's good news for them is that now they are directly sat behind the next car that they are fighting for position. That is two big hits off the wall from Pursoon and Jericho Willis there. You could hear that in the background. But back to this situation, I want to say, Verf has that time penalty. They've got that 3 second. They will drop behind. Frantic's currently P3. And it's Pursoon in P4. But they are fighting their old teammate and championship friendly in the final stages of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix to start lap 24. They go around the outside of their fellow countrymen, and once again Frantic's going to try and come back through. DRS kicks in. The inside line is the Alpines. The switchback is going to be called upon from Pursoon. Is it going to work though? No. Frantic covers it off, and they will stay in front and it looks like just about hold on to DRS. But the pole sitter from earlier on this evening is ahead. They are not slow, and you're going to have to do everything to catch back up. Can Frantic find it? Can they fight back? I don't think they can! Oh, I don't believe it! I don't believe it! Verf, on the penultimate lap, is round where we saw Charlie go off in qualifying into the wall. It looked like they were even breaking away to make it P3 for themselves, but maybe they just fought a little bit too hard at the wheel, and now they won't even beat Jericho Willis to the line with that time penalty. It's Frantic v Pursoon. Zingy about to start the final lap of the Grand Prix. Pursoon sits directly behind their main rival on track right now. This evening, it's all come down to this final lap. Jericho Willis watches on board. Frantic and Pursoon squirming into the braking zone, trying to go as slow as possible, and it's actually caught them all off guard. DRS not available for Pursoon. It's Jericho Willis who gets out in front, and that's brilliant news for Pursoon, now sat in P2 in this train, as long as Frantic doesn't get the momentum, which it looks like they do have. But it all runs out a bit too quickly. That DRS for Pursoon from Jericho Willis is going to act as a defense mechanism for Pursoon. And the double DRS is the worst nightmare for the Alpine car. In these final moments, you will be locked out. No way through making that overtake. Frantic's got to hope for something magical here, but it doesn't look easy on the tyres. There's a lot of battery in that car, but they're going to have to do something unorthodox to get this position done. Pursoon is going to look at clearly getting ahead of Jericho Willis by the time they cross the line just for safety. Is it worth the risk though, as Frantic's on their way? They've used a lot of battery already in this lap. They might have just ruined their chances already. Pursoon is going to use that battery to get to Jericho Willis for the final corner. I'm not sure if they're even going to risk it now though. They're a bit too far back. It's not going to be enough for Frantic all the way to the line. They will take it. Zingy wins the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in style with 7 seconds. It's Egapro, and then we get the 3 crossing the line. Pursoon to take the final spot on the podium with Frantic in P4. Jericho Willis, Verf will take it all the way to the end with that loss of front wing. Frustrating stuff for the Hungarian, but a very good effort to finish this race after what they've been through. And Elwain getting some phenomenal experience for tomorrow. They're going to be very, very powerful, I am sure. We'll see how it goes for them in tomorrow's race. It's the Scotsman who takes P1. And that turns things around for them a massive amount. since just 1 week ago in Mexico. They're going to be very happy with themselves now. And I don't know what that celebration was. I'm just not going to question it anymore. Zingy takes victory in Saudi Arabia. It's Egapro in P2 and Pursoon in P3. Frantic, Jericho Willis and Verth in P6. Then we've got Elwain in P7. DNFing earlier on was Charlie. The race director is on your screen as we see it. And then we go through the pit stop section. We'll export those results and we'll be back in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome to the post-race interviews of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. That was absolutely epic, just battling all over the place. I want to start, and finish, as we've got one interview here with Zingy. Zingy, that was one hell of a race. A massive turnaround compared to Mexico, and that move to get that P1. I don't care about anything else, but that move was just absolutely awesome. Can you take us through it?
Yeah, initially in qualifying, I had a mistake. I was 2 tenths up. I could have been on pole, which would have caused me to be much more relaxed if I had made that pole position, but I didn't, unfortunately. Coming into the race, I knew, starting on the outside, I just had to maintain position and hopefully not get killed. And from then on, obviously I got plus third, and Charlie was like a second and a half ahead, maybe even 2. And honestly, I just pushed as hard as I can with keeping the tires in temperature. And then around the outside, I mean, you said it for me. It was one great move. Honestly, I was a bit nervous. I thought I was going to turn in on him, but he left the space. I left the space, and it was very well done. And I seen on lap 9 that I was a second ahead, and I know from experience that if that happens, the person behind me boxes always. And knowing that it's my teammate, I knew to box to cover him off, so he couldn't physically box at the same time. So doing that, plus getting an undercut, gave me about a 3.5-second advantage, and from there I had my race engineer. He was telling me just to control the pace, look after the rear right tyre especially, and we got it through to the end. The car felt great, and some might say that's a Sebastian Vettel drive and not a Sergio Perez drive.
Some may say. Zingy, thank you very much. That was absolutely awesome. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time after the week break. Enjoy being the race winner and the champion of Saudi Arabia in just the F1 world, really, because it's not happening this weekend in real life. So well done. You've won the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Thank you very much, Zingy.
Yes! Let's go.
And that's been it for the post-race interviews. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We will see you tomorrow for the F1.5 Championship. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time in Austria. Have a good one. Bye-bye.